The power of pausing, creating space for intentional living. Welcome to your daily hit of grace and grit, your quick dose of inspiration to kickstart your day. This show is proudly sponsored by Rumble and Rise. To find out more about joining Rumble and Rise, head on over to graceandgrit.com/ready to rumble. I'm Courtney Townley, and here is today's hit. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. Most of us sprint right through it without ever noticing it, without ever acknowledging that it exists. So someone criticizes us and we immediately defend. The calendar pings and we immediately react. Our teenager rolls their eyes and we immediately escalate. We're living on autopilot, letting circumstances dictate our responses. This is living by default, not by design. The pause is a power move. It is a skill that has the capacity to transform every relationship you have, your relationship with other people, your relationship with your work, your relationship with food, with time, because it allows you to consider and to really choose from a space of thoughtful intention. And it's way simpler than you think. So how do you practice the pause if you are really someone who struggles to do it? Well, I think there's sort of graduating levels to this, of course. But a really simple way to begin is with something like traffic lights. At some point today, you will likely be in a car. And when you stop at a traffic light, I want you just to take one conscious deep breath. So just breathe in through your nose for a count of 3 or 4, and breathe out through your mouth for a count of 3 or 4. This is a pause. And the more you do it, the more your brain starts to recognize pausing as natural, not foreign. So we enter the waters with ease, as we do with everything in the grace and grit world. If you need something a little bit more advanced because you are pausing sometimes and you're ready for a bit more of a challenge, I would encourage you to practice something like the email pause. So before sending any messages that carry emotional weight, save it as a draft. Let it be, let it rest. Walk away. At least for 10 minutes. If you can walk away for a whole evening, even better. And then come back and read it again. And you will be amazed at how often you revise before hitting send. Because you have more clarity, you have more calm, you are being more intentional and less reactive. This has saved my butt and has so transformed not only my ability to communicate clearly, but also my stress levels, especially within my business. So I pride myself on customer service. I work hard to deliver quality content. I get back to people in a timely manner. But years ago, I thought that a timely manner meant immediately. I had to respond the second an email landed in my inbox, which meant I didn't give it careful consideration. And I was often in reaction mode, especially if that email was coming at a time where I was focused on other things, because it was most often. It was the end of my workday, or there were other places my attention needed to be. So constantly responding to emails at all hours of the day, that oozed into my family time, my personal time, and ultimately made me more stressed and very resentful. And that was all my doing. So setting boundaries with my work and also giving myself permission to pause before I responded to emails was immensely valuable. And the same is true with communication in general, right? So you're going to have a lot of difficult conversations as a human for the rest of your life because that is life. We live with other people, around other people, and we can't control other people. But what we can do is communicate with people, our needs, our expectations, our disappointments. And when someone says something to you that triggers you, pausing before you respond can really deepen the relationship and help to maintain the integrity of the relationship. And I realize you can't always step away for a few minutes or an afternoon or an evening. Although if you can, do it, especially if it's a really charged conversation. I do this a lot with my husband. When we're in a really heated moment, I'll just say, you know what? The kindest thing I can do for both of us right now is to just pause. And I promise I will circle back to this evening, tomorrow. But I don't feel like I'm in a space right now where I can respond in a respectful way. And so I'm going to do us both the favor of just stepping away. I don't just storm out of the room. I don't, ignore it and never circle back. But I truly feel it's in devotion to the relationship that I give myself permission to step away and pause and really consider. But even if you can only pause for 3 seconds or 5 seconds during a conversation before you respond, that microscopic gap is where intentionality lives. In that space, you can choose your response instead of being hijacked by reaction. And I am telling you, if you can learn that skill, learning how to respond rather than being hijacked by reaction, it will deepen and improve every relationship in your life. The relationship you have with other people, the relationship you have with yourself, the relationship you have with food, the relationship you have with your work. Because the pausing allows you to be more intentional. And the pause doesn't mean you become passive or slow. It means you become powerful. I think that's the thing to really reframe. Because a lot of times we're like, oh, I can't give myself the evening to think about this because the other person is waiting for an answer. But when you extend yourself the grace of pausing, even if it is for a whole evening before you respond, you are going to return to that conversation more powerful. And isn't that the place we want to be living from? It means you're driving your life instead of being driven by it. Between what happens to you and how you respond is your freedom. The pause is where you claim it. I often ask my clients, ultimately, what do they really want to achieve by working with me? And I can't tell you the number of times I have heard the word peace. I just want peace. I want to feel at peace with how I'm living my life. Well, you know how you find peace pretty damn fast? Is you pause. You pause more often before you make a decision, before you react, so you can be intentional about your choices. So today, pick a place to pause. Maybe it's the stoplight. Maybe it's an email. Maybe it's a conversation. Just pick one place to pause. Give yourself a few seconds and then decide. Small hinges swing big doors. And that is the power of the pause. It's a small hinge, but man, does it revolutionize your life. The pause is your hinge. Use it often and much, my friends. If this stirred something inside of you, imagine what a whole book of clarity and courage could ignite. The Consistency Code, a midlife woman's guide to deep health and happiness, goes even deeper into the mindset and practices that create real, meaningful change at midlife. Grab your copy today over at theconsistencycode.com and keep the momentum alive.